Improve your English with powerful listening practice. Only with English Evolution.
In today's podcast, you will learn English fast through a powerful real-life story. This is not a classroom lesson. This is English listening practice through story, where you improve your vocabulary, pronunciation, and understanding naturally. As you listen, you will train your brain to understand English without translating. You will hear simple sentences, real emotions, and natural pauses. This is one of the best ways to improve English listening skills step by step. And the story you are about to hear is not normal. It is the story of a boy who made wrong choices, who left school, who lived a confusing and sometimes dark life. But slowly he used music to express his feelings, and one day his voice reached millions of people. Today, the world knows him as the Weeknd. So while you listen to this inspiring life story, you are also building your English. Your listening will improve, your vocabulary will grow, and your confidence will become stronger. So don't pause, don't translate, just listen carefully, because this is not just a story. This is English learning through real life. Now, let's begin. Abel McConus Tesfaye was born on February 16, 1990, in the cold city of Toronto. His parents were immigrants from Ethiopia. They came to Canada with hope, hoping for a better life. But the reality was not easy. When Abel was still very young, his father left the family. And after that moment, his life changed completely. He was raised by his mother and his grandmother, two strong women who tried their best to give him stability. His grandmother spoke mostly Amharic, so at home, Abel grew up listening to a different language, a different rhythm of life, which quietly shaped his identity. His mother worked very hard, often handling multiple jobs at the same time, just to support the family. Because of this, Abel spent long hours alone, and that loneliness slowly became part of his personality. He became quiet, observant, and emotionally deep. He did not express much, but inside, he felt everything strongly. In that silence, music entered his life, like a soft light in darkness. He started listening to artists like Michael Jackson, Prince, and R. Kelly. Their voices, their emotions, their style slowly influenced him, and without realizing, he began to connect his own feelings with music. School, however, was a different story. Abel did not feel connected to studies or the system. He was not interested in the usual path that society expected. As time passed, he became more distant, more confused about his future, and more drawn toward a different kind of life. He was standing between two worlds, one that was safe and expected, and another that was unknown, risky, but strangely attractive. And slowly, step by step, he started moving toward that unknown world, a decision that would completely change his life forever. As Abel grew older, the distance between him and a normal life became bigger. School did not feel meaningful to him. The rules felt heavy, and his mind was always somewhere else. Slowly, he stopped trying. At a young age, Abel made a bold decision. He dropped out of school. This was not a small step. It was a turning point, a moment where he chose uncertainty over safety. Around this time, he met a close friend, Lamar Taylor. Together, they shared similar thoughts, similar frustrations, and a strong desire to escape the normal system. One day, Abel left his home. He took very little with him and stepped into a life that had no clear plan, no guarantee, and no comfort. Life outside was not easy. There were nights when he did not have a proper place to sleep. There were days when money was a problem. There were moments filled with confusion and bad decisions. He was surrounded by a lifestyle that was fast, risky, and sometimes dangerous. But even in that chaos, something important was happening. Abel was observing everything: the emotions, the people, the pain, the loneliness. All of these experiences slowly became part of him, and without knowing it, he was collecting stories, feelings, and moments that would later turn into powerful music. During this time, music was not just entertainment for him anymore. It became an escape, a way to express what he could not say in words, a way to release the emotions he carried inside. He started experimenting with sounds, thinking about lyrics, imagining a different future. But still, nothing was clear. He was lost, but at the same time, he was slowly finding his voice. Life continued in an unstable way. Days and nights felt mixed, and Abel was still searching for direction. But deep inside, one thing was becoming stronger: his connection with music. During this time, he met another important person, Jeremy Rose. Jeremy was a producer who was also experimenting with new sounds. Together, they started working on music, not in a big studio, but in a simple, creative environment. They wanted to create something different, something that did not sound like normal pop music. Their sound was slow, emotional, and a little dark. It carried feelings of loneliness, desire, and confusion. Abel began writing lyrics, very personal lyrics, inspired by his own life, the nights he lived, the choices he made, and the emotions he could not share with anyone. His voice was unique, soft but powerful, emotional but controlled. When he sang, it felt real, not perfect but honest. In 2010, they created a few songs and quietly uploaded them online, without showing his face, without giving much information. Songs like What You Need, Loft Music, and The Morning slowly started appearing on the internet. People did not know who he was. There were no interviews, no photos, no promotion, only the music. And something interesting happened. Listeners started paying attention. They were curious. Who is this voice? Why does this music feel so different? The mystery made it even more powerful. His songs began to spread, slowly, from one listener to another. At the same time, a big moment came. A famous artist, Drake, heard his music and liked it. Drake shared Abel's songs online. This changed everything. Suddenly, more people started listening. More people became curious. But still, Abel stayed hidden. No face, no interviews, just music. And in that silence, his identity was slowly growing. A mysterious artist with a dark sound. The world did not fully know him yet, but his journey had truly begun. As more people started listening to his songs, curiosity kept growing. Everyone was asking the same question: who is this artist? But Abel did not come forward. He stayed hidden and chose a name that sounded different, mysterious, and memorable. He called himself The Weeknd. The name came from a moment in his life when he left school, took his mattress and walked away, choosing a new life, a new identity. He removed the letter E from Weekend to make it unique and also to avoid legal issues with another band. Now the name existed, but the face was still unknown. In 2011, he released a full project, a mixtape called House of Balloons. This was not just music, it was an experience. The sound was dark, emotional, and completely different from mainstream music. The lyrics talked about nightlife, loneliness, love, and emptiness. Songs like High for This, Wicked Games, and The Party and the After Party created a strong impact. Listeners felt something new, something raw. Even without big promotion, the mixtape started spreading quickly, especially online. Blogs, music websites, and listeners began sharing it. People were not only listening, they were feeling the music, and the mystery made it stronger. No interviews, no live appearances, no clear identity, only a name and a voice. Soon after, he released two more mixtapes, Thursday and Echoes of Silence. Together, these three projects formed a powerful trilogy. Each one added more depth, more emotion, and more attention. The music industry started noticing him. Critics praised his sound. Fans connected deeply with his style. But still, Abel stayed quiet. He did not rush into fame. He did not follow the usual path. He let the music speak first. And slowly, without showing his face, The Weeknd was becoming a powerful name in the music world. As his music continued to spread, the mystery around The Weeknd became even stronger. People were deeply connected to his songs, but they still did not know the person behind the voice. But now, things slowly started to change. After gaining attention from fans and artists like Drake, Abel got bigger opportunities. He was invited to collaborate, to perform, and to step into the real music industry. This was a new phase. Until now, he was hidden, anonymous, and distant, but now he had to face the world. In 2012, he began performing live shows. For the first time, people saw him on stage, a quiet, calm, and slightly mysterious performer. His presence was not loud, he did not talk too much, but when he started singing, the audience felt the same deep emotion that they heard in his songs. That same year, he officially signed deals with Republic Records and created his own label, XO. This was an important move because now he was not just an artist, he was building his own identity and his own control over music. In 2013, he released his first studio album, Kissland. This album showed his growth. The sound was still dark, still emotional, but now it was bigger, more detailed, more experimental. The album talked about his new life, touring, fame, and feeling lost in a bigger world. Even though the album did not become a huge commercial success, it helped him grow as an artist. He was learning how to perform, learning how to handle attention, and learning how to evolve his sound. This period was not about instant success, it was about transformation. From a hidden voice on the internet to a real artist standing on stage. And step by step, The Weeknd was moving closer to becoming a global name. After Kissland, Abel understood something important. If he wanted to grow, he needed to evolve. He could not stay only in the dark underground sound. He needed to connect with a bigger audience without losing his identity. So he started working on new music that was still emotional but more open, more powerful, and more global. In 2014, a big opportunity came. He collaborated with Ariana Grande on the song Love Me Harder. This song introduced his voice to a wider audience, people who had never heard his earlier mixtapes. At the same time, he released songs for movies like Earned It from the film 50 Shades of Grey. That song became a huge success. It was emotional, smooth, and different, and it showed that Abel could create music for a global stage. Then came the real breakthrough. In 2015, he released his album Beauty Behind the Madness. This album changed everything. Songs like Can't Feel My Face, The Hills, and Earned It became massive hits. Suddenly, his music was everywhere. On the radio, on streaming platforms, in clubs, in people's daily lives. Can't Feel My Face had a more pop sound, inspired by Michael Jackson, while The Hills kept his dark, emotional style. This balance made him unique. He was now able to connect with both mainstream listeners and fans who loved his original sound. The album reached number one, won major awards, and made him a global star. But success also brought pressure, more attention, more expectations, and less privacy. Still, Abel continued moving forward, because now The Weeknd was no longer just a rising artist. He had become a worldwide voice. After the huge success of Beauty Behind the Madness, life changed very fast for The Weeknd. He was now everywhere. His songs were on top charts, his face was in interviews, and his name was known across the world. But with fame came a new challenge: identity. Until now, Abel was known for his mysterious image, his unique hairstyle, and his dark artistic style. But now he wanted to grow. He wanted to change. In 2016, he made a bold decision. He cut his signature hair. This was not just a style change, it was a symbol. A symbol that he was entering a new phase of life. That same year, he released another major album, Starboy. This album showed a different side of him. It was more energetic, more modern, and more global. The title track, Starboy, created with Daft Punk, became a massive hit. The song talked about fame, money, and the transformation of his identity. Another song, I Feel It Coming, also with Daft Punk, showed a softer, more emotional side. This album proved something important. Abel was not afraid to change. He was not stuck in one style. He was evolving again and again. But inside, things were not always perfect. Fame brought pressure. He was living a fast life, surrounded by attention, expectations, and constant work. At the same time, his personal life was also in the spotlight. His relationships, including with Selena Gomez, became public. People were watching everything. And slowly, behind the success, behind the image, there was still a person trying to understand himself. Trying to balance fame, identity, and inner peace. And this inner conflict would soon shape his next phase of music. As fame continued to grow, life became more complex for The Weeknd. From the outside, everything looked perfect. Success, money, global recognition. But inside, things were not always calm. His personal life, especially his relationships, went through ups and downs. His connection with Selena Gomez ended, and this brought emotional pain. At the same time, the pressure of fame, the fast lifestyle, and constant attention started affecting him deeply. But instead of running away from these emotions, Abel did something powerful. He used them. He turned his pain, his loneliness, and his confusion into music again. In 2018, he released an EP called My Dear Melancholy. This project felt different. It was more personal, more raw, and more emotional. Songs like Call Out My Name carried deep feelings of heartbreak, regret, and emotional struggle. Listeners could feel that this was not just music, it was real experience. His voice sounded softer, more vulnerable, and once again, people connected with him not just as a star, but as a human being. This phase showed something important. No matter how big he became, The Weeknd always returned to his true strength: honest emotion, real stories, and music that comes from inside. But even after expressing so much, his journey was not finished, because soon he would create one of the biggest eras of his career, an era that would take his music to another level completely. After the emotional phase of My Dear Melancholy, Abel took some time to think, to reset, and to prepare for something bigger. He wanted to create not just songs, but a complete experience. A new world, a new sound, a new identity. In 2020, he returned with a powerful project, After Hours. This was not just an album, it was a full artistic era. He created a strong visual character, wearing a red suit with a serious face, showing a story of fame, loneliness, and self-destruction. The music, the videos, and the performances all felt connected. And then came a song that changed everything: Blinding Lights. This song became one of the biggest hits in the world. Its sound was inspired by old 1980s music, but it felt fresh, energetic, and emotional. People everywhere were listening to it, on the radio, in cars, on social media, in different countries. It broke records, it stayed on charts for a very long time, and became one of the most successful songs of all time. At the same time, other songs like Save Your Tears and In Your Eyes also became very popular. This album showed something powerful. The Weeknd had reached a new level. He was not just making music, he was creating culture, a moment that people remember. In 2021, he performed at the Super Bowl halftime show. This is one of the biggest stages in the world. Millions of people watched him perform, and he delivered a unique cinematic performance. This moment confirmed his position. He was now one of the biggest global artists. From a hidden voice on the internet to performing on the world's biggest stage, his journey had reached an incredible height. But even at the top, he continued thinking, creating, and evolving. Because for him, the story was never just about success, it was about growth, change, and expression. After the massive success of After Hours, many people thought this was the peak. But for The Weeknd, the journey was still moving forward. He was no longer trying to prove himself, he was trying to express himself in deeper ways. In 2022, he released another album, Dawn FM. This project felt different. It was like a story, a journey between life, death, and reflection. The album had a unique concept, like a radio station, guiding a person through darkness toward light. It even featured narration from Jim Carrey. The sound was smooth, inspired by old radio music, but filled with deep meaning. Songs like Take My Breath and Less Than Zero showed both energy and emotion. At this stage, Abel was not just making hit songs, he was creating experiences, something that people could feel, understand, and remember. He also started exploring new areas. In 2023, he worked on the series The Idol, where he was not only acting but also involved in the creative process. This showed another side of him, an artist who wants to grow beyond music. At the same time, he began talking about change, about possibly leaving the name The Weeknd and moving forward as Abel Tesfaye. This idea showed something deep, that behind the fame, behind the character, there is always a real person, a person who started with nothing, who made mistakes, who felt lost, but who never stopped creating. And today, his voice is not just popular, it is remembered because it carries truth, the truth of pain, the truth of growth, and the truth of transformation. So when you listen to The Weeknd, you are not just hearing music, you are hearing a life. And as you listened to this full story, you also trained your English, you followed emotions, you understood meaning without translating, and you improved step by step. So next time, don't just study English, feel it, listen to it, live it, because that is how real learning happens.